Hey guys, what's up? Thanks for so much for sitting with Ebony to talk about Native Son, HBO.
Hey, thank you for having us.
So, Ashton,
Yes.
those who have read the book, they know that Big is not some idealistic protagonist, right? You know,
Right.
he's a very human, flawed character
Right.
who's been tainted by the world around him.
Yes.
How did you approach staying true to his darker elements while still kind of showcasing his humanity on screen and conveying like how he kind of became to be that beast?
Right. Well, I mean, I think Richard Wright already gave so much subtext there for me to be able to just, I don't know, like, just live in every moment. You know, I feel like Bigger is such a, living with this character was such a human experience, you know? So I was just trying to stay as authentic to the character as possible. And thankfully, Susan Murray Park and Rashid, you know, gave enough narrative for me to be able to do so. So I think just with that and the collaboration between both director and actor, I don't know, I was able to fully understand Bigger in a way that he was just human and these were his circumstances and this was his experience, nothing like protagonist, like antagonist-esque, to say the least.
Okay. And KiKi, you joined Native Son, which is based on a novel by Richard Wright, shortly after you finished If Beale Street Could Talk, which was based on another novel by another iconic African-American author. How important is it for us to continue to acknowledge the work of these literary giants and to kind of introduce their stories to new generations with retellings like these?
I mean, I think it's extremely important. I think that's one of the dope things about doing these projects is that it introduces people, you know, to these writers and to their voices, and then you start to get more interested in, you know, their other works, you know, and what they, you know, had to say about, you know, so many different issues. That what's, you know, special about these projects in particular is that we're still experiencing these things. So I think it's still so very relevant, even though, you know, what Beale Street, that's from the early 1970s, Native Son, that's what, 30s, early 40s. So, but those same issues we're still talking about and having discussions about those things today. So then it also forces you to, you know, question why that is and to have more open discussions about that.
Okay. Speaking of Black authors, I noticed within the trailer that Bigger reads a number of Black and radical authors as a character. We saw him lay his gun on top of The Invisible Man.
The Invisible Man.
We saw Citizen by Claudia Rankine on his bed.
Right.
Were these purposeful choices to kind of showcase his thought process and his influences?
Yeah, definitely. We wanted to showcase, I think, we wanted to showcase Bigger as an intellect, you know, which is what he was. And, you know, he was born into like kind of like an affluent like family almost, you know. And so, yeah, I think it was definitely strategic. Rashid definitely probably grew up on those books and wanted to, you know, like incorporate them as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to talk a little bit about Big's style.
Yeah.
He's very alt, kind of has an Afro-punk aesthetic about
Afro-punk,
him.
yeah.
With the green hair and the nails and the rings.
Yeah.
What was the conversation like with hair and makeup and wardrobe as far as how you would physically embody Bigger in a modern day translation of who he is as a young Black man in Chicago?
I think, I don't know, I feel like aesthetically I kind of already knew Bigger in a way. And so I would say that that was kind of like an easy collaboration between like Beth and I, you know, like the costume team already had a lot of the world that Bigger lived in with his style of dress, you know, with the Dickies. Like I already was wearing Dickies at that time, so on and so forth, you know, like I already had dyed my hair green like a month prior to going out there to shoot without knowing that like, you know, like my hair was supposed to be green, or like a couple of months prior to, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, everything just kind of fell into place in that way. It wasn't as like complex as you would think, but I do think it was specific. Again, the costume team definitely knew what they were doing with certain pieces, like the jacket. That was something that was obviously thought about, and talked about, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. KiKi, so Bessie, who's Big's girlfriend, she has her own problems in this film, and yet she allows her affection for Big to kind of put her in compromising positions. When you were reading this, what were you hoping young women could take away from the relationship aspect between Big and Bessie?
That was, that was one of the things that made me very interested in playing Bessie, because like when I first met with Rashid about doing the project, it was like the last week of filming for Beale Street. And so I'm like in the throes and like, the harder part of this, love story that we were telling there. So then when I got presented with this opportunity, I saw it as a chance for me to continue to explore young Black love and in a very special way. But with Bessie, I got the opportunity to examine what does it mean when your love, for this person you're, in this relationship with, and the love that, you have for, should have for yourself, are conflicting with each other. Right. And I think that's something that as women we experience a lot. We naturally, I feel like, often give. We're taking care of everybody. We're nurturing, all of these relationships in our lives. And then I feel like so many of us lose the self-care aspect and lose relationship with self. And so I thought that was a really, powerful thing to explore, especially as a young Black woman, to have that moment of like, I love you, but I can't go to that place with you. And it doesn't mean that I love you any less. Maybe it's just saying like, in this moment, I choose myself.
Right.
And so that's, definitely something that drew me, to play in this role.
Yeah, I always felt like Bessie, even in the original novel, she was like an early example of like the ride or die aspect of being a girlfriend, right? Yeah, kind of willing to sacrifice whatever's necessary. But if it's not being reciprocated, it kind of makes you think, right?
Yeah.